saying what you feel to people, trying to work on relationships. I think it's actually made me better at conflict, weirdly. You just know, like, love and connection is the most important thing, and it goes. It's a finite thing, so really trying to work on and have the best relationships I can have with people.
Welcome to the Bountiful podcast, where we explore what it means to live a bountiful life. In today's episode, we delve into the shadows, those times when life isn't so rosy. We're honoured to welcome Connor Amor-Bendall, a courageous performer, talented writer, and resilient soul. She's not only a dear friend, but also someone who has faced profound grief with grace and strength. Today's discussion navigates deeply personal and sensitive topics, including loss, terminal illness, and suicide. Listener discretion is advised. Connor's journey has been marked by profound challenges, including the loss of her father to cancer. In our conversation, we'll delve into the complexities of grief, the experience of supporting loved ones through illness, and the journey to find hope amidst a world that sometimes feels less bright. We've both found solace in our shared experiences as members of the Dead Dads Club, a bond that has provided support and understanding. With candour and authenticity, we'll share our insights and reflections, offering solace and inspiration to those sharing similar trials. Join us as we embark on a hard but important conversation. Connor, welcome to the Bountiful podcast.
Thank you for having me.
How's your day going?
Good, a bit stressful, but good. As you know, I'm putting a play on in 1 week. 1 week, we open next Tuesday, it's Monday. And I'm loving it, but just like the production week beforehand is crazy.
And tell me about your play.
It is another gnarly topic. I started writing it, I think when I met you, it's about 3 or 4 years ago, and it is called The Clitoris Conundrum. And it is like a dramedy, so part of it is definitely comedy, but it's quite dramatic, and it is about the storyline of a character called Cameron trying to like fix her relationship because she's having intimacy issues, because she's dealing with like unprocessed trauma or unprocessed sexual assault trauma. And so it's her journey of going through that healing process, but told in a very like fun, hilarious way. Like there's a giant dancing life-size vibrator in it.
Okay, welcome to the show. So for people listening at home being like, what the hell, can you give me a little bit more of your background? Yeah, share some of your background with me, all of your various things that you get up to.
Okay, I'm an actor and a playwright now, I guess. But yeah, I've been acting for a long time, since like high school. I danced most seriously until I was 18, very competitively, which kind of led me to acting. And then I've been lucky to have a few roles, like I've been on Shortland Street, some American productions, Sweet Tooth, which is a Netflix show, Power Rangers, and I have a really small role on a show coming out called Testify. And then I'm also I guess I'm not really a journalist anymore, but I was in journalism and worked for you for 2.5 years.
Yep.
As a writer, and I still do a lot of comms and media writing and work.
And you're 27 tomorrow, so how do you fit it all in?
I'm lucky enough to be young that I do work a lot, and I love like the acting, theatre, film world I'm so passionate about, so I'm happy to work a lot of overtime. I definitely don't want to be doing that forever, but I've kind of seen my 20s as like the time where I just have to work really hard, and I love it, so that helps.
So let's talk about how we met. So from my side, I was starting a new community.
Yeah.
It was going to be awesome. I had the brand. I knew exactly what I wanted in terms of like an editorial roster of content that our community could read. I knew sort of exactly the vibe that like how it needed to hit when the people who were reading it were going to read it.
Yeah.
And so scouring the internet for a writer, because I didn't just want any writer. I wanted I don't even know how to describe what I was looking for, but I knew it when I saw your work.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah, you found me on Unicorn Factory, I think. I mean, it was a legal company for those listening, and I'm not a lawyer by any means, but I grew up my mum's a lawyer, so I grew up around law. And I think that probably made me slightly more comfortable with writing it because I guess I've just heard so much of that rhetoric. You knew what you wanted, and it was really easy to work with such a good brief.
How did you sort of let me know what was going on for you, if you remember?
Probably quite promptly, because the year that I met you and started working for Public Rally and then Lawview, that was when my dad was getting really sick. So I feel like I probably would have told you straight away. And I think you opened up about your dad quite quickly. So I definitely felt very comfortable. And I remember there were a few times that year where I had gone to hospital quite a lot and you'd just be like, don't worry, it's fine. So I don't remember when, but as you know, that whole period's quite blurry. But I do think it was quite initial, which is why we got each other very well from the start.
I think from memory it's something like, by the way, really happy with how it's going. Just so you know, I think it was like, my dad's dying and he has cancer, so if I'm like not really with it, it'll be because I'm dealing with something. And I was like, okay, totally get it. My dad died too, so I understand, like obviously in a very different way, but...
Yeah, and it was like, I think working under someone who's been through that, I couldn't imagine it. Yeah, it was amazing having you.
Yeah. Tell me about learning about your dad's diagnosis. Like how old were you? Like the C word is a horrible word to come up in a family context.
Too.
Yeah.
It was St. Patrick's Day. I was 17 at uni. And I was in halls, so everyone was getting ready to go out and party. And I remember my mum calling me, and I thought it was like a joke at first. And then I gave away all my St. Patrick's Day attire. And my brother was also living in Wellington, and my friends walked me to there, and we just hung out. And that was quite scary because when he first got diagnosed, it was he had bowel cancer, which had metastasized to lymph nodes, liver, I think, at that point. And the tumours had blocked his bowel so completely, he was like vomiting up
stuff.
What needs to go down. And they kind of said it was pretty touch and go, but he made it through that surgery. But that was quite scary. I do think a lot of it, I realise how much you do blur, and I don't know, I guess it's like a coping mechanism.
Yeah, I can't remember anything.
Really?
Yeah. Like it's taken me a long time and like a lot of deep thinking time to like try peel back the layers of like memories that I think I purposely blocked out from that time. But my mum and I were talking about it the other day. I used to have like a bomb memory, just like I'd remember like 15 people's phone numbers because of, free text weekends. Maybe that was before your time.
Dial-up internet?
Yep. There was like these weekends on Vodafone or something, and like you'd get free texting for the whole weekend.
That's pretty cool.
It was pretty awesome because we didn't have iPhones or anything cool like that. So then you actually had to like text people. Yeah. That's why I knew everyone's phone number. And then I think post Dad dying, I just blocked it all out. There's so many things I just don't remember.
Yeah, I would say I'm the same.
Yeah.
My memory's pretty bad these days.
And so he had a terminal diagnosis at that point?
Yeah, he did. We got told, it's so funny the way medical people sugarcoat things, but I guess they have to. We got told he had a 30% chance of living 3 years, which means 1 year.
Yeah.
But he lived for 8. Yeah. So that was incredible. But yeah, it was a long slog. Like his mental resilience was just amazing. What he had to go through physically and mentally. I don't even know how many major surgeries. I think it was like 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still had a lot of good times before it started getting really bad.
Yeah. 8 years is a really long time. And it's not just like, you're like, you don't go into remission, but a lot of people they shrink their tumours and stuff, and then they kind of live a less quality of life, but they do live without being like super sick. It kind of sounds like he was just like super sick for 8 years.
No, we actually had periods where he'd be good for like a year or 8 months.
Yeah.
And the thing about Dad was he was so fit and also just so smart and bubbly. He would really bounce back. Like even the doctors, he had a few surgeries that they did on him. That were firsts in the country because they were like, if anyone can handle it, you can, which was crazy. Yeah, I'd say the first 4, we were definitely in denial, and he was coping so well that he kind of tricked us. Like I think I always knew deep down what terminal meant, but I definitely didn't actually think it would happen. It probably was the last year where it really started to sink in, when he couldn't put weight back on. But he tricked us. He definitely tricked us.
And then how did you cope with those 8 years? Did you kind of, did it go in waves, or did you try? Because I remember you, I think in the last year, were really struggling with like, I need to grow my life, but also I can't because I feel like guilty is probably the wrong word, but like your sense of place was definitely at home with the family, but then you were like 25 or something and you needed to grow.
23, I think.
23. Yeah. Grow as a person at the same time.
Yeah. I think it impacts everything, and you would know this. I think every decision I've made has been impacted by it since I found out. Like I always wanted to do an exchange, and I did, and in France in 2017, and I definitely would have stayed if it wasn't for Dad being sick, but I always just ended up coming back. And I don't know, I think it just impacts everything, because you're very aware that you've only got so much time left with them. And I think the stress as well, I've realised, like this is really weird, but I had really bad IBS for like the entire 8 years, and I just thought I was allergic to gluten. It wasn't. Turns out that I was just so anxious, and I think my, like, is it parasympathetic or sympathetic nervous system? One of them was just in alert, like I was constantly...
Like fight or flight.
Yeah. Like if my mum called me and I had a missed call and she called me 3 times in a row, I'd be like, oh my God, what's happened? So I was constantly stressed, and I think, it just impacted my whole body. And then I found since Dad died, my IBS is gone because I'm not, like obviously I've had grief and all the depression, anxiety that comes with that, but I'm not waiting for him to die or for something to, his bowel to explode or like, so that definitely impacted me in a way I didn't know, I think.
Do you have any advice for people that are on this journey that helped you, or in hindsight you wish you had known or done or anything like that?
Definitely spending as much time with him as possible. Like I was really lucky that COVID actually meant I was living with him and looking after him. Time, like, I mean, you would know this, the amount of times I'm like, oh my God, I just wish I could call you, or just hear your voice again, or ask you a question. And all the things I thought I got the answers to about what he thought about the world or how he would deal with something, and there's so much I don't know. So I would say just spend as much time with him as you can.
My thing is just like, have the conversations and ask people as many questions as possible. Like
videos?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I have 3 videos of Dad and I think 2 voice recordings, and that's it.
It took me, I think, 12 years to even find a photo of him and I together.
Really?
Yeah, which is like quite sad. Finally found one in like a photo album somewhere that was like in my auntie's attic, because we go travelling, right? And then you just put all the stuff upstairs, and so I finally found some, which was nice.
Wow. Yeah, photos and videos, but definitely videos, because you forget what their voice sounds like and like how they move. I wish I had more of them.
My poor mother, like I ask her literally everything that I want to ask her. It's like one day, like maybe 6 months ago. We're having I was at her house having a wine. It's like a Tuesday. I was like, so tell me about your childhood. She's like, okay. And I was like, tell me about this time in your life. Like, how would you do this? Or what do you think about this? She's like, really? Like,
I need to do that to my mum. That's really smart, actually.
Yeah.
I don't think I've quite got there yet, but you're so right.
But she just gets it all the time now because I have that kind of presence of mind that when they're gone, you can't ask them anything.
Nope.
So you did lots of counselling while he was alive. What things were you not prepared for, or that, because there was a lot of stuff that you thought you'd process that kind of came up where you were like, oh, actually, you thought you were going to be fine, but then you weren't fine, obviously. But why?
I wasn't. Well, one thing, a few people threw around this term called preemptive grief, which it is real and I agree with it, but it also is, I don't know, I guess maybe I thought because I've been preemptively grieving, the grief will be less bad, but absolutely not. I don't even think you can actually imagine what it's like until it's happened.
Yeah.
What was I not prepared for? Probably the nihilism, actually.
Tell me more.
Just what's the point?
Right.
And you just, there's the depression and there's you're just crying and you're low and you don't want to eat and you're hurting and every day you just can't believe that they're gone. But I definitely spiraled for a bit and just, I don't know, they're just gone. And you're like, what? I'm not religious, and I just had a lot of questions and thoughts about the universe and what life means. Where is he? Do I ever see him again? And I think I've now got to a place where it's allowing me to live my life quite freely because I'm really aware how short it can be.
Yeah.
And I guess the length of grief, I think people often told me it would get better, and I don't think it gets better. I think you just learn to live with it. But I mean, you learn to not be despairing every day, but look at us both. You miss them just as much.
Yeah, I think we had this chat when you were coming up to how many years now?
2, it'll be 3 in January.
I think year 1 you rang me and you're like, when does this get better? I was like, well, years 1 to 5, it's like this. Year 5 to 8, it's like this. 10, like this. Now I'm at 15 years this year. I think not a day goes by that I don't miss my dad, and I think the older you get, it actually gets, depending on what you've got going on in your life. There's been moments lately where I've been like, oh, I can so just imagine turning up to a family barbecue, having this very specific debate about something stupid. I work for an AI company now.
Yeah.
He was talking to me about Google when Google was a year old or something, AdSense, how to make money off keywords or something. I'm like, how the hell do you know about that stuff? So I just know the debates that we would have now and the conversations would be hilarious.
Yeah, and wishing they could see what you've done.
Yeah.
And then also funnily doing a lot of it for them, even though they're not here.
Yeah.
I find that. Another thing I was just going to say, you made me think, is sounds a bit mean, but I did for about the first year, actually probably still, I was a little bit desensitized to other people's issues, especially when they seemed kind of trivial. I think I'm past that now and I can be an empathetic person, but I did have a point where I would have friends or colleagues or something, complaining about I'm trying to think of an example, buying the wrong curtains. That's not a real life example, but I'm trying to think of one. Do you have any?
I've said this before, but I took a different track because I think I had the same learning. Dad died, day of funeral, friend was distraught because her boyfriend had broken up with her, and I was like, I'm about to bury my dad. I can't deal with this right now.
Yeah.
She got super offended, and then I learned, the lesson I learned was that everyone's capacity for dealing with stuff is really different.
Yeah, that's super true. Yes, and I did have a few issues with friends that had wanted me to invite them to more of the grieving or grief events.
That's weird.
It was a bit, but I also just kind of realised I was so insular in what I was going through and just trying to look after myself and my family, and perhaps wasn't the best friend for year or two and wasn't the most communicative human. The other thing is events, like birthdays. My birthday tomorrow. I hate my birthday now.
Father's Day.
Oh, Father's Day. Oh, it's horrible. Mother's Day for people without you just walk into the supermarket and you're like, thank you, yes, my dad is dead. I'm aware.
I think those events get better. I did hate all of those events, and now I use them as like treasure days is a good descriptor of like when you have a day of like treasuring the memories that they like honouring the memories, I think.
That's a really
and also
nice way to look at
being
it.
super grateful to people who have those people in their lives still, that they've got them, and hope that they're treating them accordingly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I think the numb phase of grief is like pretty normal. Didn't really want to deal with anyone else's stuff. You're just trying to wake up and not fall apart really every day.
Just trying to get out of bed.
And then at some point it just kind of clicks and works at some point.
Yeah, I honestly think it's probably only been in the past 6 months for me that I've really started to be a human again.
With your work self, because obviously I was super like, whatever you need, do it. And I didn't really care about when you're working, as long as like you were either like, I'm going to do my work on this, like on Saturday because I've got stuff to do, or I can't focus right now. It was almost like the communication where you're like, I can't do this, or I can do this, and I'll give it to you. So that didn't faze me, but I know you struggled with your brain and like having brain fog for a little while. How did you get through that?
Well, I also had that concussion, which did not help.
Yeah.
I had a really bad head injury 6 months after Dad died, and a year of brain injury rehab. That was bad in retrospect. I can't believe those things both happened in the same year. Also confusing because through a lot of the OT situation, a lot of the emotions and things that you can be experiencing from concussion, I was like, I don't know if this is grief or what's going on. But how did I deal with it? I think I just got through it slowly. I definitely reduced my social activities, even like acting. I really had to pull back for a little bit just in terms of how emotional it can be. And then no screen time when I wasn't working for the brain.
Yep.
That was massive. And I'm trying to think of anything else, but I don't really have any answers. I think it just slowly got better, and I just had to really minimize what I was doing outside of work and auditions.
Let's chat about when parents move on.
Yeah.
So
I don't know how much my mum will let me talk about this, actually. I can talk about my experience. I won't talk about her at all.
Yeah, talk about your experience.
It's very private.
And I'll talk about mine as well, and the advice that I gave you.
Hard. So my mum has started dating again, which is awesome because I don't want her to be alone at all. And also my hometown, none of us children live there now. So yeah, the thought, she also has an incredible friend group and support network, like my godmums and all of the family and whānau that I grew up with are very close. But yeah, it was going to happen at some point. I'm warming to it, but it was funny because logically when she first started dating, I was super encouraging. You know, you need someone there. The thought of you alone actually kind of freaks me out. And then when it happened, my emotional reaction was not what I rationally thought it would be.
Yep.
And I think it's something I'm still figuring out because it's kind of early days. But yeah, it's a funny feeling because you know that people break up and move on all the time. Like, that's life. But I guess it's you imagining if they were still there. It's I don't even quite have the words for it yet. But the advice you gave me was to, I'm trying to put it in a succinct way, like kind of just to put myself in her shoes and give it time, really.
Ultimately, like, I wanted my dad to be happy when he did move on before he died, because my parents divorced before he died, which is part of the challenge. And so he did. And so I've really wanted him to be happy. The thing that I wasn't okay with that we kind of talked about that I gave you advice on is like, I think as the person moving on or as the kid in the situation, you still want one-on-one time with your parent.
Yeah.
And that's super important. And then having the conversation with that parent around like, I'm really happy that you're dating. It makes me happy. You know, I want to support you in anything. But like, can you please like be mindful or slow with like this person being around all the time? Like it might be too soon for me or something. Or making sure that you still have your, you know, your mum time or whatever, or dad time is really important. So then you don't feel like you're kind of sharing. I think it's the sharing time thing that catches people out a little bit.
Yeah.
When really you're like, I just want my mum and I want to have my mum. I'm happy if you're happy, but you know, I don't need that in my face right now. Like little slow steps, like a dinner or...
Yeah, definitely. And I think like change, like you learn that change is inevitable. You really have to deal with change, but it's nice to have some semblance of like your family prior.
Yeah.
The before and after. I remember that you did say to me at one point that I need to, well not I need to, but in general, like you have to come to terms with the fact that you're not going to be who you were before.
How are you still in the mode of like trying to make him super proud, or have you kind of gotten over that stage where you're like, I want you to be proud, but I'm doing it for me? Where are you at with that?
I don't know. I mean, I think I've always had like the level of passion and drive for what I do before or after, so that hasn't really changed, but I think I'm somewhere in the middle. Like I definitely do some like kind of woo stuff sometimes with auditions and I'm like, I've got dad with me.
Love that.
Which is cool, but I'm also, you know, like, who knows? So I'm getting more to the point of doing stuff just for me. Yeah. I think I just think of having him with me a lot of the time, or like having like some essence of his power.
Yeah. I love that. Last thing kind of, and then we'll change gears a little bit. How did you support your younger sister? Because I know that relationship is super important to you, and like vice versa. Is there any sort of wisdom or advice and like there?
Still trying to. She was 16 when he died. She's 18 now. And yeah, I mean, so young similar to you, just way too young to lose a parent. So I just try and talk to her as much as I can and get her to open up, encourage her to go to counselling if she needs it. Sometimes she goes through waves. We all go through waves of grief. Trying to get her to enjoy life because she has always been a very like high-achieving academic person, and I think losing her dad she still is, but it's really, like I was talking about, the point and the purpose. Yeah. I wanted her to make sure she has fun after having such a hard childhood. I think she was 8 when he was diagnosed, so half her life was having a sick dad.
How did you learn to have fun again?
I think it just slowly started happening. I definitely wasn't having a lot of fun for a while there. But I still do the things that I enjoy. Seeing friends and family is always really important to me. And I think as I've gone through it, I've started to find that I'm laughing more and I'm enjoying my life more again. But yeah, just doing the things that I know are good for me and that I love, I guess would be my answer.
Yep. What led you to pursue acting and writing, and how have these creative outlets helped you cope with the loss?
Oh gosh. Writing, I've written since I can remember. Like, I have books and books and books of me scribbling. And at school, I was always English subjects, writing, drama. If you look at, in primary school, they make you write those like, I'm Shan, I'm Connor, and my favourite colour, my pet, what I want to be when I'm older.
Someone be a firefighter.
Yeah, mine always said actor.
Yeah.
So I think I've always loved it. Acting's been the harder one. I've definitely danced with it a bit more just because it's so it's not risky, but it's so, you have no path to follow. And there's not like a ladder to climb. You just have to trust that you're doing all this work and something will come to you, which I've struggled with a lot. Writing, I like that you have a bit more control. Like all I need is my laptop or a book and me, and I can create something. Yeah, I think they're like integral. I've always been driven by, I just want to create things. I just feel like most myself and happiest when I'm doing that.
Yep.
So I guess they have been great outlets. Yeah.
How do you think your dad's passing shaped your perspective on life and creativity?
Gosh. Well, we talked about it before. Like I'm trying to just, really say yes to exciting opportunities and fun opportunities, to be a good person as well, to enjoy my life. And I know that life isn't always fun and sometimes you have to get through the boring stuff, but I think before I had a little bit less maybe courage in going for what I wanted in the like creative world, and now I don't, because I've really realized you're gonna die. Like I've seen someone die in front of my eyes, and just going for what I want. And then I guess the other way is probably valuing, like the biggest way would be the way you value people and love, and saying what you feel to people and trying to work on relationships. I think it's actually made me better at conflict, weirdly, because you just know like love and connection is the most important thing, and it goes.
Yeah.
And it's a finite thing. So really trying to work on and have the best relationships I can have with people. Yeah, I think that's probably the main one.
Can you share a little bit or talk about creating your own luck? Because I think what you've kind of transitioned into, like with your play. Right?
Yeah.
So you're an amazing writer. The whole time I worked with you, you're like, I want to do a play. You wanted to be an actor. You do your acting stuff. But I think there's been a shift recently. You still want to be an actor, but now you've got your own play. A play that you got some funding for, that people are actually going to come see. That's not waiting. That's you like making your own luck.
Yeah, I like that, making your own luck. I guess I'm a bit impatient. And yeah, I just got sick of waiting at the phone, really, for a role. And creating your own luck. I do really believe, something actually my dad always said to me, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. That was a classic Noel saying. And so I think I'm just trying to embody that. Like I feel like if I put my energy into it, and if I create shows, I create roles, then it will happen. Yeah. And also weirdly, I'm really falling in love with like the playwriting, screenwriting, directing side of it. And I still love acting and will act like you've got like this bird's eye view of the whole production, which is it's very different than being a character. So we'll see what happens.
Can you describe the feeling that you get now, because you've written something?
Yeah.
And there's a difference between writing someone, have someone read it.
Yeah.
Whereas like, what's it like for you seeing like your words physically embodied in other human beings?
The first time I was like, but it's so cool. It's bizarre. You're like, I wrote that character and now that's everything I thought they would say and they're saying it. It's really, really, really cool and quite surreal, actually. Like I watch it and I also struggle to sometimes take my writer's hat off because I'm constantly like, could that be better? Could I do da-da-da-da-da-da? But I'm now at the point where I'm like, you've just got to trust what you've done and leave it. But it's an amazing feeling. It's quite a bizarre one. I don't really know how to describe it well.
Yep.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
How has losing your dad shaped how you view the world, and also what you've done, second question, with your career? Because it's been quite non-typical in terms of like you've literally lived everywhere.
Yeah.
Always worked in startups and tech, and you've very much like created your world that you wanted for yourself.
I think the same as you, like when one of the most important people, the most important person in your life is gone, and like my dad died, like the way he died, suicide, has a few more questions, I think, because it's not like, here is an illness, I mean, it is an illness, but just as it's a choice rather than a consequence, I guess. And I used to have the saying, I don't really believe anymore, but I was like, my worst case scenario is death, so I'm just going to do everything other and like just really run at things. I kind of had the same thing, like life's short, we don't know if people are going to die. I've had a lot of people die in my life. And so it kind of made me more courageous, I think, because I just like really wanted to go after what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I was unafraid of, I'd get nervous and scared, but I was unafraid of like charting my own path and marching to the beat of my own drum, which I think is a strength that I have. In terms of my career, it didn't matter to me. I just didn't want, I tried the conventional pathway, I had jobs in like telecommunications company, roading, civil, tried to do the corporate thing. And I just got so bored. It's like, okay, I'm going to be a terror. Can't work for someone in that realm. And then I had this notion. It's like, I want to travel around the world. And at that time, I think I was still trying to process my grief as well.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of questions because of how Dad died. It's like, well, in order to understand the world, I have to see the world. And so I went to see the world, and then that helped me. I think seeing different cultures, seeing how different people interact, even watching like shows, helped me process my emotions.
Yeah.
Because I would see them and like play out in other areas where I'd go, oh, right, I'm processing that emotion that I hadn't necessarily identified, but I could see it in like a movie, or I could see it in a culture that was super helpful. And then I think it just snowballed. I kind of made it up and then just said yes and chased it. And then I always have just stayed true to my vision of where I want to be and the type of person I want to be, and have just really sunk into and what I want to spend my time on and who I want to spend my time with.
Yeah, that's a huge one as well, right?
And I think when people die, you don't compromise on the people you put around you.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
That's quite cool. So what are your key learnings from grief?
I don't know, roll with it. Just roll with it. I honour him always. I did have a moment like a while ago where I realised that for a while I was trying to make him proud, and I realised that probably wasn't that healthy, that maybe I needed to make myself proud. Outside of that, I just carry him with me, and it's been a bit weird lately. I've understood more about his like context, and I've really come to terms with, I think, what happened, and I got some answers when I was at Oxford last year. Then I like went digging for them. And I just really feel at peace with it now. I don't, like, obviously I would love to have him here with me all the time, because he was like my person. We were two peas in a pod. I really do think you just got to take it as it comes, because you do have days. I have days where I'm sad or whatnot. Other days that I'm really happy, or when I do something I'm like, fuck yeah, you would be so proud of me.
Yeah, not trying to block the emotions.
Yeah.
They're always better when they come out.
Yeah, they are. Being part of the Dead Dads Club, we've often said that maybe we should start a community. You actually had a lot of friends that were in similar situations.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So how, even though we say that with a bit of humour,
Dead Dads Club.
How has connecting with others who have experienced similar losses helped you in your own journey of healing and growth?
I think it is really just being comfortable around those people, because what I have learned about grief is that you just don't get it until you've unfortunately got it. And people are weird when someone dies. Like, people react in strange ways, and sometimes the people you thought were going to be there aren't there. Something I found at the time of Dad dying is a lot of people, and also like I don't remember the whole funeral week. Like, you're just in a state of shock. And I had one friend, a couple others be like, I messaged you to say, can I come to the funeral? And you were like, yeah, do what you want. And they didn't come. and they feel really bad about it, and they're like, but you told me not to come. And I just remember when I found that out, I was quite annoyed, and I thought, there's no way I don't even remember replying to you. Like I don't think you're really factoring in or considering. You don't have the capacity to do that at that time. You're just trying to get a funeral off the ground for your dead parent.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is a major tangent, but what I found is, so one of my best friends in the world, Ariel, lost her dad to cancer when she was 17, and we kind of bonded. We met when we were 18 because she had just lost her dad, mine had just got diagnosed. We've always been best friends. We're very similar people. And she disappeared. Don't know, she disappeared. And those kind of friendships, I've got a few. One of my other best friends, Kayla, also lost her dad. And a lot of the time you're not talking about it, but I think it's just the knowing and the understanding how hard it is. And I think for me, having those friendships has been really, really important, because it's a lot to try and explain to somebody. And even like your own partners, like love my partner, I love Ty, you can meet Ty, he's amazing. They don't know because they haven't been through it. And just having those friends that will call you up on your birthday and be like, hey, how you going? Or on Christmas, oh my God, Christmas is the one that really gets me.
Yep.
Just being there for each other, because you know how hard it is. That is my tangential answer. I think in terms of healing, it's just, connecting with people that have gone through the trauma that you've gone through or are going through is really important, because you don't have to feel like you're explaining why you're reacting in a certain way.
Do you think it also de-risks it? Because like if someone's been through it, they might not know what to say, but they definitely know what not to say.
Yeah. And you know that thing, like when you meet somebody and somehow it comes up that you both have a dead family member.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh. And you just look at each other and
it's a knowing gaze. Yeah.
You get. Yeah.
What were some of the things that you wish that people had said or not said to you?
I think what to say is just to really check in on celebration days, like milestones. And then the other thing I would say is that the funeral time of grief, you have so many people around you for those first few weeks and then maybe the first few months, and then people just forget and they've got their own shit to deal with and they move on with their lives. But you really, really appreciate the people who just check in every now and then. And also talk about them. So many people don't like bringing up my dad or bringing up dads or death in general. And I'm like, no, I want to talk about it. I need to talk about it. And don't feel awkward.
Did you talk at his funeral?
Yes.
I didn't. I regret that.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm glad I did. I think
we had this chat actually.
Yeah, it was really hard. My mum did. She was amazing. She wore her sunnies the whole time.
So the advice is, if you have the opportunity to talk.
Yeah.
If you can keep it together.
Yeah. And also, like, if you can't, that's okay.
Yeah.
You tried, or you got up there. I definitely didn't keep it together by the end of it. And when my sister talked, she just broke the room. And Dad had a massive funeral because he was very well loved in the community.
I think mine did too.
Yeah. And I was just looking around at this 16-year-old girl breaking everyone.
I was super naughty. I'd been to like 8 funerals at the same funeral home, so I was already over it. It was like, really? And then I messaged my friends and I said, if anyone wears black, you're not allowed to come in.
I like
and
that.
So and I wore this like super colourful dress that he bought me.
That's cool.
Super cute. And every single one of my friends showed up in this like bright.
Yeah.
And I was like, haha, fuck you. I just had a moment of, and then I got to do the music. And so I chose his like favourite songs that were probably not appropriate for a funeral.
This sounds so similar to Dad's funeral.
Supertramp, Dr. Hook, like Kenny Loggins, like Footloose, just like, that sort of stuff. And then when they came on, I think I cracked up. I was like, everyone was like, what the fuck?
No, ours was so similar. I wore fluoro, like a bright lime green.
Yeah.
And we ended up, like, some of Dad's friends were musos, and they played until like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And it was all, like what's up, 4 non-blondes and the doors, like all that kind of
celebration of life.
Definitely a celebration of life.
How did you find balancing caring for your dad and also pursuing career and personal goals?
Hard.
Yeah.
It's, don't expect too much from yourself, I think. Like I still, you have to work, you've got bills to pay, most people do. So you just figure out, and open communication and figuring out what you can do and doing that. I'm quite like a classic driven, like to overachieve person. So that was a bit hard having to pull back and realize like I can't do everything at this point. I think just giving yourself space, like I did have a fear of missing out. Like I wasn't doing these particular plays or like in these film projects, or I needed to be in Auckland for auditions, and now I look back on it and I'm like,
didn't matter.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Like always just put your own health first and mental health and the person that you're looking after, and you won't regret it.
We often talk about finding hope amidst the darkness. Are there any moments of light or solace that you discovered during your darkest times?
God.
I feel like exercise was one of your...
Yeah, I'm an exerciser. I'm actually feeling so
things.
stressed right now because I've been like working theatre till 10 p.m, 11 p.m. each night, and I haven't been doing my normal exercise. And I'm like, exercise always really good for me, just moving my body. I think that's ex-dancer as well. Like it is a release for me, like quite a somatic release. Nature, I was really drawn to nature when Dad died. I'm from Gizzy, I grew up on the beach. But I was really drawn to nature. Like at one point I was like, I've got to go live in Titirangi. Like I need to leave. I didn't end up doing that. But I felt this calling to just be away from people. And then I would probably say, I guess I've really gone hard at my acting and writing, and I think that's probably a light.
Yep.
Also my dog.
Yeah.
Animals.
And your tomatoes, actually.
Yeah, my tomato plants. Definitely took really good care of plants and my garden, more so than me for that first year.
So your creative work often delves into profound and gritty themes.
Yeah.
How do you approach these topics with authenticity and vulnerability?
I think it's all I know how to do. I've realised that. I'm like, I need to... when I did start writing as well, because when I started like non-journalism, when I started writing for screen, and I've been working on some fiction and stuff, I think everything in me needed to come out, and that's just the way it goes. And you might as well, they say, write what you know, it's what you're best at.
Yep.
And I do hope though that once I get a lot of these stories out of the way, then perhaps I can come up with some new, slightly less traumatic ideas, but maybe that's just who I am.
You have it in you. I think feel like you're like, I'm Gen Z, I'm going to tackle our challenges.
Yeah, I sometimes feel like I'm definitely a zillennial. I'm a Gen Z, but I don't understand TikTok, so I'm not really a Gen Z.
TikTok might not be the barometer for that.
It feels like it is, but no, I'm 1997, so I think I'm cusp.
On that note, and this is like a random kind of thread, but can you tell whoever's listening why you chose to pursue both acting and writing?
Both of them in conjunction?
Yeah, like that you kind of realised that if you really wanted to act, but if it didn't pan out, you had something to kind of fall back on?
Yeah. Oh, like technical writing, like more journalism. Yes, when I was 18... finished school, wanted to go to Toi Whakaari, the drama school. They only take people that are 18 by the first day of term. I'm not sure if that's true anymore, but I'm in March, late March baby. So I was not able to go. And I guess my mum kind of did influence me to just go to uni and start a degree. And I was always very academic. So I did political science and international relations. And then I was like, well, I have to finish it. So I finished it. And I think I pulled away from the arts for a while, and I did journalism because I thought that it was a good blend of acting and academia. I was like, I can be a broadcast journalist. And then it was when I came home and Dad, the palliative, this is it, that I just went, fuck it, I'm going to audition for drama school. It's what I've always wanted to do. I might as well see if I get in, and I did. And sometimes I'm like, maybe you should have done broadcast journalism and kept going, but I don't think so. Like I just like that it's so fun being creative, and I think doing what you love, like the fact that I'm excited about my work is really cool. And I did have a brief period where you rescued me. Sorry if you work at Deloitte, where I was working at Deloitte and I hated it so much. Oh. I'd cry in the bathrooms. I'm just not built for that world as much.
No, you got to give the context. So, like, what were you doing there that was like...
Tenders. I was tendering. Oh, man. Bidding for work, essentially. And I'd done that in Melbourne to pay for my master's degree. Hated it, but it had a purpose. And because they hire people who are good at writing to do these things. Oh my God, it just like destroyed my soul.
So no disrespect to anyone at Deloitte, but when I met you and I heard what you were working on, like with your brain and what I could see in terms of like your talents, I was like, I need to steal her from this giant business because your talents are being really wasted here. Yeah. And it also didn't fit with any of your lifestyle wishes, which I was like, wait, can I get someone like super cool that's so talented that will be great to work with, but then you also get to live a better life because you're not like being chained to a desk doing like, it's the same with Neve, right?
Yes, yeah.
So she was taking staples out of legal documents in a law firm. Yeah. And I was like, no, cut that out. Yeah. That's not a good use of your skills.
Well, I think it's like a generational thing too. I do think a lot, like my mum always talks about the fact that she's a lawyer, but they went into a firm and they worked in the same firm forever. And in many jobs like engineering, accounting, and our generation, yours as well, like we don't work to live. Yeah. Like I think for me, yes, I do understand that I think
we don't live to work.
No,
I know what you're saying though.
But we kind of, oh gosh, yeah, we kind of do. It's kind of oxymoronic because like I want to like my work. Yeah. So in a way I do live to do work, but then I'm not working for the weekend. But in the same vein, I need a job that is flexible if I'm not always able to like make money through the arts, which is quite difficult. So yeah, I'm very grateful for the flexibility that technology has given us.
I'm not afraid of hard work and I don't mind. Like, I've definitely done a lot of like grunt work in my life, but I don't know, just I feel like I'm not really working anymore, which is such a gift.
Because you're liking what you're doing?
Because I love what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just fun.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. What brings you joy?
Connection, like friends, my family, mostly that, to be honest. Lots of things. I love acting, I love writing, I love the whole industry. I like the water, the ocean, mountains. Yep. I love the mountains.
Hiking.
I love winter. Hiking, yeah, getting outdoors, reading, eating, food. Love food.
Most spontaneous thing you've ever done?
I feel like I'm so spontaneous. That's just my life. Okay. Just what am I doing? What's the most spontaneous thing I've ever done, ever? I don't know.
I think mine was going on a 350-mile bike ride in Africa when I didn't ride bikes.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. That definitely is. Oh, I went to Morocco on a whim when I was 20, and that was an experience. Definitely don't go alone as a 20-year-old. Amazing country, but I was so underprepared. Yep. Yeah, because there were like 20 euro flights or something ridiculous. Yeah.
Oh, to have that freedom.
Bike, and you went biking.
I knew how to ride a bike, but I wasn't like a hardcore like road cyclist, mountain biker, anything like that. But my friend was going and I was like, that sounds fun. I'm going to come too. And she was like, you know, you have to ride a bike like 70 miles a day. I was like, how hard can it be? It was hard, but it was so good.
Whoa.
Loved it. What does it mean to you to live a bountiful life?
Yeah, I guess to seek joy, but I don't like the thing or the saying of like, I want to be happy, because happiness is just a state of being, right? Like it's fleeting. But to have purpose to be aligned with your values in terms of like spending your time doing something that you enjoy, to be with people that you love, to be healthy, like looking after yourself is so important. And then I think nature is a big part of that too. Yeah.
How do you see yourself today?
What do you mean see? Like, how do I...
Like, who are you?
Who am I today? I look like Draco Malfoy today because my hair is sitting really weird. It's really flat. Apart from that, I'm good. I'm excited. I'm really excited for this next week and for my play. I'm a bit tired. I'm happy to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. I think I feel really good about myself today as a person.
Good.
Yeah.
What advice would you give your 25-year-old self? This is kind of funny because you're not that old.
So me 2 years ago. What was I doing? Well, that was just after Dad died. Yeah, I guess keep going for what you love, and actually just go for it.
Go for it.
Just go for it, and also be kind to yourself.
Do you have any tenets that you live by? Commandments, rules?
Living by love, I guess. Oh, that sounds so lame. But I think if you give love, you're going to receive love. And I think it makes the world a better place. Like, just be a nice person. Yeah. It's not that hard. And I guess have fun. And then also I think hard work is definitely something that I live by. Maybe I should relax on that sometimes, but I always say this to Ty, and Ty gets really annoyed at me. It's do it once and do it well, which is something Dad used to say to me. I'm not the best at that. Like, I am quite as you know from that colours test we did at work that one time, like I'm like a purple colour or whatever it is. Like I have the vision, and then I will get a bit bored.
Yeah.
But trying to, something I'm working on now in my later 20s is trying to do things well when I'm doing them. And also not overcommitting is it's been like the latest thing.
It'll be a good one for you.
Yeah.
Quick fire round. What, in your opinion, is the most underrated fruit or vegetable, and how do you like to have it?
The most underrated fruit or vegetable? Tamarillo.
Okay, random. How do you like to have it?
Just like a little bit of sugar on top. Ooh, brown sugar.
Favourite cocktail?
Negroni.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, what's yours?
Probably a margarita with salt.
Oh yeah, that checks out.
It does check out. Worst meal that your parents ever made you eat?
Oh my God, my mum. Sorry, Mum. I went vegetarian. Ethically was a big part of it. I was a teenager, but also because she made this like dry roast chicken. And to be fair, my dad, wasn't the best cook, very gender normy, and she was working her crazy law hours, and she'd make this roast chicken and she'd just forget about it, put a lemon in, and it would be so dry. I just went vegetarian because I didn't want to eat it anymore.
Do you have a vegetable garden?
Yeah.
Favourite thing you like to cook?
Favourite thing I like to cook?
Yeah.
I don't have an answer. Whatever I'm cooking at the time. Dinner. I like cooking dinner.
Scratch
that one.
Word that describes your life?
Chaotic.
What are you most proud of?
Ooh. Oh my gosh. What am I most proud of? Probably my resilience and courage.
Final question is, what's the final thing you want people listening on the podcast to know or take away from our chat?
That you'll get through the really shitty times and just keep going and be open and talk to people.
Tomorrow's a new day.
Tomorrow is a new day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Connor, for sharing your journey of resilience and creativity with the Bountiful podcast today. For the audience eager to learn more about Connor's work and to follow all of her creative pursuits, I'll put all of her links in the show notes.
Yes.
And if today's episode resonated with you and left you inspired or moved, don't forget to follow and subscribe for more enriching conversations. Our season is brimming with amazing guests such as Connor. And we can't wait to share those captivating conversations with you. So thank you so much. Like and subscribe, and see you later. Thanks, Connor.
Bye. Thank you.